In the 6th gen Pokemon games, almost everyone knows by now that by fish chaining and Dexnav chaining, you can increase the odds of finding a rare shiny Pokemon, but there has always been the question of how. Hey, it's Absol, and today I wanted to shed light on the subject and once and for all explain how the game actually calculates your shiny odds in these hunting methods instead of guessing the odds off of experimental guesswork. First of all, I want to give credit for all of this research to an amazing 3DS hacker known as MrNbaYoh. I hope I pronounced that right. He actually looked into the game's coding to figure out these odds and released a calculator that helps you determine what exactly your odds are at any point in fishing or Dexnav chain. I implore that you check out the links to his GitHub site in the description, where you can find the actual calculator and his articles on these shiny odds, which will go a little more in depth mathematically and statistically than the explanation that I'm about to go into. So I guess let's get started. To make explaining the complicated Dexnav system easier, I'm going to start out by breaking down how exactly your odds of finding a shiny increase with fish chaining first. So when you get into any wild encounter in the game generates Pokemon. All of the information and characteristics of the Pokemon you'll encounter, including shininess, are randomly created in one ID number known as a PID. Normally this value is calculated once, and when you possess the shiny charm, the game calculates the PID 2 additional times. And if any of the 3 times it calculates the PID as a shiny Pokemon, you will encounter a shiny. The exact way fish chaining works is that it keeps doing additional calculations and checks of the PID. The very first encounter in the chain is at full odds. It's a 1 in 4096 encounter because it is only calculated once. Unless you have the shiny charm, of course, where it's calculated 3 times. With every increase of your chain, you get an additional 2 calculations until it caps at a chain of 20. So at most you get 41 calculations without the shiny charm, and 43 with the shiny charm due to the additional 2 that it brings. This puts your odds at 1 out of 100, or 1 out of 96 with the charm, at every number in the fish chain after 20. Those aren't bad odds at all. Now that that's out of the way, let's discuss the crazy way the game handles Dexnav shinies. I'm going to go ahead and say it is extremely doubtful that without a look at the game's code, no one would have ever figured this out. So when you're sneaking up on a Pokemon on the Dexnav radar, as you get closer, some information appears on the bottom screen. It turns out that all of this is calculated before any sort of PID calculation goes into the mix, and there is a hidden value for shininess that is not displayed on the screen. How this shininess value is determined is very interesting, and is all based off of a completely different check the game makes, with the probability of finding a shiny increasing as your search level for the Pokemon increases. You can increment your search level by finding, hatching, or receiving the desired Pokemon. Because the search level stays constant regardless of whether or not you have a chain going, the only way to be 100% certain that you are hunting a shiny at the full odds with the Dexnav is to have a search level of 0, meaning that you haven't even seen or hatched the Pokemon yet in your game. This doesn't mean that chaining is insignificant in this process. On the 50th encounter of your chain, you get 5 more chances at the search for this calculation, and on the 100th encounter, you get 10 extra chances. However, these extra chances only occur at the 50th and the 100th encounters, and not on any in-between or after. The shiny charm also allows 2 additional chances on this every time, and to make things even more complicated, the game randomly has a 4% chance of giving you 4 additional chances at this. And keep in mind, this is all before any sort of real wild encounter and any sort of PID calculations. So you still have the 1 or 3 PID chances after all of this. But yeah, that's basically how it works. If you really want to look into the math and logic that really goes behind all of this, as I said before, check out MrNbaYoh's website. I just wanted to keep this a little bit more simplified in order to make it easier to understand. And with all of that being said, I guess I wanted to just end this by saying happy hunting. I'm glad we could finally get to the bottom of this. I'll see you next time.